The Empire had ruled the stars for centuries. Their fleet stretched across dozens of star systems, each planet under strict control. They believed themselves unstoppable, the true masters of the galaxy. But at the edge of their territory, far beyond the core systems, scouts began to report strange activity. It started small. A few human ships detected near the border acting oddly, moving in ways the Empire's officers did not expect. At first, the scouts dismissed it. Humanity was primitive, scattered, and weak. No one thought they could pose a real threat. Yet the reports kept coming, ships disappearing, patrols attacked by unknown weapons, signals scrambled beyond recognition. Leora, a young officer on the Imperial command ship Vigilant, studied the reports carefully. Unlike the other officers, she did not see this as a minor problem. The humans were organized. Their technology, though different, was clever and precise. They are not just surviving, she whispered to herself. They are preparing. At the next council meeting, Leora spoke up. We cannot ignore these signs. Humanity is stronger than we think. They are building weapons and defenses far beyond what we expected. If we push further, we may regret it. The council laughed. High-ranking generals and diplomats shook their heads. One of them, Commander Voran, leaned back in his chair and smirked. Leora, humanity is a small, unorganized species. They are clever, yes, but they are weak. No human fleet can match the Empire. You worry too much. Leora's stomach sank. She had hoped that at least someone would listen. That caution might save lives. But the council was blinded by pride. The Empire had conquered countless systems. Why fear a species that barely had 1/10 the technology of even their smallest fleets? Even so, the attacks continued. Outposts reported ships vanishing without a trace. Patrols sent to investigate never returned. Communication relays were disrupted for hours at a time, cutting off entire regions. Every warning was met with the same arrogance. It is nothing, the council said. Just anomalies. Keep moving forward. One night, while Leora monitored the border from the observation deck, a strange transmission arrived. It was faint, scrambled, but the words were clear enough to understand. You don't understand what's coming. Humanity is ready, and you will regret ignoring this warning. Her heart pounded. Who had sent this? How had it reached her? Leora replayed the message over and over. It was a warning, not a threat, but the tone was unmistakable. Calm, confident, and deadly serious. The next day, the Empire launched another patrol into human space. Leora watched as the ships departed, their engines glowing in the dark void. She felt a deep unease. Something in her chest told her that the scouts would not return, that the Empire had made a mistake it could not undo. Yet no one else seemed to notice. Commander Voran stood proudly on the bridge, smiling as if victory were already certain. The council members whispered among themselves, confident in their plan. Leora knew better. Humanity had survived against impossible odds before. And if the scouts were right, if the warnings were accurate, the Empire had just walked into a trap. As the observation screens flickered, showing the distant patrol disappearing into the stars, Leora whispered again, almost to herself. They should have listened. They should have prepared. But it is too late now. The silence of space stretched on. And somewhere just beyond the border, humanity waited, watching, planning, ready to strike back at the Empire that had ignored every warning. The Empire believed itself untouchable. Its fleets, its weapons, its soldiers, everything had been honed to perfection over centuries. Yet no amount of experience or technology could prepare them for what humanity had in store. The first strike came at dawn, though no one on the Imperial command ship Vigilant could see it coming. Alarms blared across the fleet as a series of explosions erupted near the border patrol station. The station, once considered secure, vanished in moments. Debris floated silently in space, a grim testament to the humans' unexpected skill. On the bridge, officers scrambled. Commander Voran barked orders, but nothing worked. Sensors detected strange energy patterns, weapons firing with precision, then vanishing without a trace. Imperial ships were caught off guard, their shields overloaded by attacks they did not understand. Leora watched in stunned silence. This is no accident, she said. They planned this. Humans are not just reacting. They are leading us into a trap. But her words were lost in the chaos. Imperial pilots tried to engage, only to find that the human ships were gone, appearing again in unexpected locations, striking weak points, and disappearing before counterattacks could hit. The humans were fast, precise, and fearless. For the first time, the Empire realized that their arrogance had blinded them. Humanity, a species they had mocked and underestimated, had learned their strategies and found ways to outsmart them. The human fleet was small, yet its impact was devastating. With every Imperial ship destroyed or disabled, the humans advanced, never stopping, never showing fear. The patrol station, the first of many targets, had been just the beginning. Across the border systems, similar attacks began. Communication relays went dark. Convoys vanished. The Empire's confidence crumbled. On the Vigilant, Leora received another transmission. It was short this time, a simple message. "We warned you. Now you will see why." The voice was calm, almost polite, but the threat behind it was clear. Humanity was no longer hiding. They were striking back. Commander Varan clenched his fists. "This cannot be happening. We are the Empire. No human can challenge us," he shouted, but even he knew deep down that the situation was slipping out of control. The battle was brief, brutal, and chaotic. Small human ships darted in and out, using asteroid fields and debris as cover. Energy blasts tore through the Empire's defenses, targeting engines, weapons, and critical systems. Within hours, the once proud patrol fleet was reduced to a scattering of damaged ships, limping back to Imperial space. Leora stood at the observation deck, staring at the empty void where human ships had struck. "They're stronger than we thought," she whispered. "And they are only getting started." The Empire sent messengers to the Council, but the damage was already done. Panic spread among the leaders. No one could predict the humans' next move. Even the most seasoned generals were forced to admit that humanity's tactics were intelligent, bold, and terrifyingly effective. As the survivors regrouped, a warning echoed in Leora's mind. This was just the beginning. Humanity had sent a message with this first strike. They were no longer the weak, backward species the Empire had dismissed. They were a force to be feared, and they were ready to take back what was theirs. Somewhere in the darkness of space, humanity prepared for the next wave. Every move was calculated. Every strike would be precise. And the Empire, for all its might and pride, would soon discover that underestimating humans was a fatal mistake. The Empire had faced countless enemies, yet nothing had prepared them for humanity. Reports of destroyed patrols, lost outposts, and vanished ships spread panic across the command fleet. Officers whispered in fear. Generals scowled at screens showing fleets torn apart, and the Council's pride began to crack under the weight of reality. Commander Varan refused to admit defeat. "This is a temporary setback," he insisted. "The humans cannot hold against the full might of the Empire. We will crush them as we always have." But even Varan felt the growing tension. Humanity's strikes were not random, they were calculated, precise and coordinated. Every attack seemed to anticipate the Empire's moves, exploiting weaknesses no one believed humans could detect. Leora stood quietly on the observation deck, watching the stars beyond the fleet. "They are prepared," she said softly to herself. "This is no simple rebellion. Humans have been planning for this moment for decades, maybe centuries. We are walking into their game and we don't even know the rules." The Council convened again, this time in full panic. Imperial leaders demanded a massive retaliatory strike, an all-out invasion of human-controlled worlds. They believed overwhelming force would restore their honor and authority. Leora tried to speak, but her warnings were drowned out by shouts and orders. The Empire's fleets mobilized, engines flaring as thousands of ships prepared to invade. But humans were already waiting. Around Earth and the outer colonies, fleets hid in asteroid fields, behind planets and inside nebulae, their positions masked by stealth technology that the Empire had failed to detect. The first Imperial ships to arrive were met with ambushes. Energy blasts tore through their shields. Ships meant to carry thousands of soldiers were shredded before they could land. The humans fought like predators, hitting where it hurt most, then vanishing before reinforcements could respond. Leora monitored the battle, her heart pounding. "It's worse than I imagined," she whispered. "They know our tactics. They've learned us. Every move we make, they anticipate it." On the bridge, Commander Varan gritted his teeth. "We must adapt. Send in more ships. Destroy their fleets." But each order only led to more losses. The humans were not only fighting, they were controlling the battlefield. They turned the Empire's confidence into chaos, fear, and confusion. Meanwhile, transmissions from human forces arrived in bursts. They were calm, collected, and often mocking. One message came directly to Leora. Your pride blinds you. Retreat while you still can. She replayed it several times, amazed at the courage and intelligence behind the words. The Empire's council grew desperate. Entire divisions were stranded, supply lines were cut, and communication relays were sabotaged. Imperial soldiers whispered rumors about human technology, how it seemed almost magical, capable of striking from nowhere and disappearing without warning. Leora realized the truth. The Empire had underestimated humanity at its own peril. Every arrogance, every assumption of superiority had blinded them. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was strong, patient, and smarter than anyone had predicted. By the time the Imperial fleets regrouped, the humans had already set the next stage of their plan into motion. Strategic outposts were reinforced, key weapons were hidden, and fleets moved silently in preparation for a counterattack. Leora felt a cold dread. This is only the beginning, she thought. They are going to hit us harder than we can imagine, and when they do, the Empire may not recover. Somewhere across the stars, humanity watched. They had turned the Empire's arrogance against them, and soon the full force of their plan would be revealed. The darkness of space was broken by sudden bursts of light, fast, precise and deadly. Humanity had waited patiently, and now the moment to strike had arrived. The Empire's fleets, once confident and proud, were about to feel the full force of human ingenuity. The first wave hit like a storm. Small human ships emerged from asteroid belts, nebulae and hidden corners of space, firing weapons the Empire had never seen. Imperial shields flared, then failed. Engines exploded. Communication arrays were destroyed. In minutes, entire squadrons vanished. On the Vigilant, alarms blared. Commander Varan shouted orders, but his voice was lost in the chaos. Leora moved quickly, analyzing sensor data. They're everywhere, she muttered, and they know exactly where to strike. The humans did not attack blindly. Every move was calculated. They exploited weaknesses the Empire had ignored for centuries. Overconfidence, predictable tactics, and reliance on superior numbers. They hit supply lines, crippled warships, and forced the Empire into defensive positions. Even the Empire's most advanced weapons were no match. Human engineers had adapted Imperial technology, turning it against them. Missiles were intercepted, energy beams deflected, and drones hacked to serve human commands. The Empire had underestimated the humans' intelligence, creativity, and bravery. Leora watched in awe as humans orchestrated their strikes. They did not simply fight, they controlled the battlefield, shaping the Empire's actions like a chess game. Every Imperial move was anticipated, countered, and exploited. In the middle of the chaos, a massive human flagship appeared. It moved with silent precision, weaving through the remnants of Imperial fleets. Its weapons targeted the Empire's command centers, cutting off communication between warships. Imperial leaders were isolated, confused, and terrified. Varan's confidence shattered. "This cannot be happening," he yelled. "We are the Empire! We cannot be defeated by humans." But reality was cruel. Imperial ships continued to fall one after another. Supply lines were cut. Outposts that had once seemed secure were now under attack. The Empire's arrogance had become its greatest weakness. Leora knew the humans had a plan for the ultimate strike. A high-value Imperial ship, the Oblivion, was leading the remaining fleet. If it fell, the Empire's entire strategy would collapse. She risked everything, secretly sending coordinates to human forces. "Target the flagship," she urged silently, "or everything we know is lost." Moments later, the Oblivion was attacked from multiple sides. Energy beams struck its shield simultaneously, weapons disabled, engines failing. Imperial pilots fought bravely, but the humans' coordination was flawless. One by one, the mighty warships of the Empire fell, leaving survivors scattered and demoralized. Across the stars, humanity's message was clear: underestimate us at your own risk. They were not merely defending, they were reclaiming their place in the galaxy. Every strike, every maneuver, proved their ingenuity, courage, and determination. In the Vigilant, Leora allowed herself a small, grim smile. Humanity had done what no one expected. They had outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and outlasted a galactic empire. And yet she knew the battle was not over. The Empire would retaliate, desperate and furious. But for now, humanity had taken the first decisive step. Somewhere deep in human space, commanders celebrated quietly. Ships returned to hidden stations. Weapons were prepared for the next phase. The Empire had been shocked, humiliated, and weakened. And humanity had only just begun. The Empire was reeling. Their fleets were shattered, their pride destroyed, and their soldiers demoralized, yet they refused to surrender. Imperial commanders scrambled to regroup, sending out orders for a full-scale counterattack. They believed their numbers and firepower would overwhelm humanity if they could strike fast enough. But humans were ready. They had anticipated every move, prepared for every strategy the Empire could throw at them. Advanced surveillance allowed them to track incoming fleets, while hidden weapons waited silently in the void. Every Imperial maneuver was watched, analyzed, and countered before it could reach its target. Leora watched the screens on the Vigilant, her heart pounding. "They've learned from our mistakes," she whispered. "Every weakness we have, they know it." The first Imperial strike came toward Earth, massive. Warships moved in tight formation, expecting an easy victory. But the humans had set a trap. Mines floated undetected in space, energy fields redirected missiles, and hidden fleets struck from multiple angles. One by one, Imperial ships were disabled before they even reached the atmosphere. On the battlefield, human pilots were calm, precise, and fearless. They did not rush. They did not panic. Every attack was calculated, every movement deliberate. The Empire's power, once terrifying, now seemed clumsy and outdated. Meanwhile, humans revealed their greatest strategy. They turned the Empire's own weapons against them. Communication hubs were hacked. Drones were redirected. Missiles fired by Imperial warships were intercepted, then used to destroy other ships in the fleet. Chaos spread through the enemy ranks. Leora could barely contain her awe. Humanity, underestimated for centuries, had become a force the Empire could not control. "They're not just defending," she said to herself. "They are shaping the entire war, dictating the Empire's every move." In the middle of the battle, a massive Imperial warship, the Titanus, tried to break through. It fired relentlessly, confident that its size and firepower would crush human defenses. But humans had planned for this. Energy fields absorbed the blasts, while a fleet of stealth ships slipped behind it, striking its engines. The Titanus drifted powerless, helpless against the humans who had anticipated every action. Commander Varan shouted orders frantically, but no one listened. His pride had been shattered. The Empire, once proud and confident, now seemed fragile, weak, and vulnerable. Humanity was not just fighting back. They were winning every battle before it began. From hidden stations, humans sent a clear message: surrender is the only option. Yet even in retreat, the Empire refused. Their arrogance remained, but it was now mixed with fear. For the first time, they realized that humans were not a species to be underestimated. Leora allowed herself a small, grim smile. The Empire had learned its first lesson. Arrogance can be fatal. Humans, small and underestimated, had turned the tables. They were no longer on the defensive, they were in control, dictating the war's pace, striking where it hurt most, and leaving the Empire scrambling for answers. As the last Imperial ships retreated, humanity's fleet returned to their hidden bases. Weapons were repaired, ships refueled, and strategies rewritten for the next phase. The message was clear. The Empire would not easily recover, and humanity had only begun to show its true strength. Yet in the darkness of space, Leora knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would strike again, and when they did, humans would be ready. For the first time in galactic history, humanity had become a force the mighty Empire could not ignore. The Empire's fleets were in ruins. Scattered remnants of warships drifted through space, engines dead, weapons silent. The once proud rulers of dozens of star systems were now on the defensive, desperate and afraid. Humanity, underestimated for centuries, had rewritten the rules of the galaxy. From hidden command stations on Earth and nearby colonies, human leaders watched the last Imperial ships retreat. The humans had not only defended their worlds, they had outsmarted an empire that had considered them inferior. Every move, every strike, every trap had been calculated to perfection. Victory was not luck. It was intelligence, courage, and determination. Leora stood on the bridge of the Vigilant, watching as Imperial ships limped away. Relief and awe washed over her. "We've done it," she whispered. "They finally understand what humans are capable of." Yet humanity did not strike for revenge. They did not attack the, retreating fleets or destroy the planets the Empire controlled. Instead, they offered a chance for surrender, a message transmitted across every Imperial channel. "The war is over. Yield and you may survive." For the first time, the Empire faced humility. Leaders who had once commanded fear and obedience now listened. to a species they had dismissed. And in that moment, humanity's strength became clear, not just in weapons or numbers, but in wisdom, restraint, and strategy. Some imperial commanders, still proud, refused to surrender, but even they knew the tide had turned. They were no longer masters, they were vulnerable, and humans had proven they could dominate without destroying everything. Leora realized that this was the essence of humanity: clever, adaptable, and honorable, even in the face of overwhelming power. Across the galaxy, planets under imperial control began to communicate. Some surrendered immediately, others hesitated, but all had seen the humans' skill and foresight. A new era was beginning, one in which humanity was no longer the weak, backward species that the Empire had assumed. Even as celebrations began in human space, a small signal flickered from deep beyond known systems. It was weak, distant, and mysterious, but unmistakable, a reminder that while humanity had won this battle, the galaxy was vast and full of unknown threats. Leora looked out into the stars, thinking about the lessons learned. The Empire had failed not because they lacked technology or strength, but because they underestimated their opponent. Pride had blinded them, arrogance had destroyed them, and humanity had seized the opportunity. Humanity, she whispered, is stronger than anyone imagined, and we've only just begun. The humans did not boast, did not destroy for the sake of power. They rebuilt, prepared, and learned from every challenge. They had survived when no one thought they could. They had struck back when they were underestimated. And now the galaxy had a new truth. Human ingenuity, courage, and determination could challenge even the mightiest empire. And somewhere in the silence of space beyond the borders, a new mystery waited. A faint energy signature, ancient and unknown, pulsed across the void. Humanity had won the day, but the stars held more secrets, more dangers, and more opportunities than anyone could predict. For now, though, Earth and its colonies stood victorious. The Empire had been humbled. Humanity had risen, and the galaxy would never forget that a species once dismissed, as weak, had struck back and won.